and I'm going to try to explain something about the most crucial, the most powerful, the most amazing, the most fascinating, but also the most discussed question in the world. Is God real? I don't think there's a question that is more fascinating than this one. And I don't think there's a question that stirs more emotions and more feelings and thoughts and vibrations in the hearts and minds of people than this question. And I came especially to Amsterdam. Amsterdam is one of the world's most famous cities, and it's known for a lot of bad things. It's also known for a lot of good things. But it's also a city where you have a lot of perversity, where you have a lot of people who don't care about anything, who don't care about God, who don't care about destiny, who don't care about good or evil. They just care about one thing, lust. They just care about one thing: what can I do to have pleasure? What can I do to fill that huge gap inside of me? What can I do to fill that huge empty space in my heart? And that's one of the main things that I believe are very important when we think about the question, is there a God, is there nothing? I believe that the moment you really encounter the Creator of heaven and earth, your eyes are opened very wide. I mean, I've been in a time where I walked in this city and that I was using drugs, and I was trying to be happy with, well, you know, with the things that many people here are trying to use to become happy. And what are they doing? They're just seeking it in pleasure of their body. I'm not speaking out of something that people have forced upon me. I'm not speaking about things that people have pushed in me. No, I'm speaking about the reality that I've experienced firsthand. So and that's why I'm filming myself here in this very big city, very famous city, because I know there are many people around here that can have thousands of arguments against the existence of God. They can have, well, they can talk for hours and discuss and try to explain why it's impossible that there would be a God. But I've experienced the reality. I've been here. I've walked the city. I've searched for the things that many people are searching for. I tried to fill the huge emptiness inside of me. And I was deeply convinced that there is no God. I mean, I believed in my heart, well, if I see all the suffering in the world, if I see all the bad stuff around me, then it's simply impossible for a God to be here. I mean, there's so much evil, there's so much darkness, there's so much, I mean, only the things in my own life. I don't even have to speak about the evil of this world. I mean, like all the plagues and the starving people and all the crime and all the nonsense, but even the stuff in my own life was just killing me. What happened in my own family, what happened with my own father, what happened with myself, you know, with my mother, things that just broke our family. And that's something I believe many people are struggling with. Why are things happening that hurt me? Why are things happening that just bring so much sorrow and pain? And I know that it's, well, there are people that have a pretty happy life, and you're very blessed. But I see many people around me, many people that just, they hurt inside. They have pain, they have questions. And I understand very well that it may be very hard to believe in a God, because for many years I was angry at people who were talking about God. And I remember very well that one time I was walking a street like Amsterdam, and some weird guys, well, in my observation at that time, now I realize that weird guys are often very passionate people who have a fire inside of them, who have a burning fire inside of them. That's not always bad, you know. It's sometimes extremely good. But at that time I perceived them as nutcases. I mean, they gave me little cards, and on that card it was, well, it said, well, Jesus loves you. And I thought, oh my God, these guys are insane, I thought, you know. How can you believe? How can you think that there's a God? So I know exactly how it can feel for many people when you hear this question, when you feel the things I felt at that time. And of course, all of us are unique. We all have our own lives, we all have our own situations. But you know, it's very important to realize that no matter how your life is, no matter how much stuff is going on in your life, that's not everything. It's not the final answer. It's not all there is. There is much, 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 much more. There is much, 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 much more. There is much, 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 much more. And I really want to ask you to just pay attention to certain things I'm going to try to explain. I know it's not easy to explain these things, to explain the reality of God, because it's something, well, for me it has become extremely real. It's impossible to explain in human language. It's impossible to explain in simple words how powerful this reality is. But it is something indeed, it's something that's, well, it's very hard to explain to people who are, well, how can I say this? Who don't feel the things you feel, you know? Who don't experience the same thing. So I know that there's nothing I can do to show it to you, but there's something I can just plant in your heart. There's something I can say that I believe will stir something inside of you that will help you think, hey, maybe, just maybe, there is a God. And you know, one of the most important things I want to explain to you, and I think maybe the most important thing I have to explain to you, is that there are many enemies against God in this world. You know, science is one of them. And I'm not saying that science is against God. No, many of the pioneers of modern science were very convinced that there is a God, there's a creator. Like Newton, you know, he was a sincere Christian. And there were many scientists who said, well, the only reason why we are studying nature is we want to see the glory, the majesty, the wisdom of our Creator. So they had a desire. So science in itself is absolutely not an enemy of God. But what people perceive as science in this time, that's something that's something different. There are many people who claim to be neutral scientists, and they say, well, we are not religious, we only look at the facts. But I'm telling you, most of the facts are being ignored by scientists. I mean, this world is filled with hundreds of millions of people who have dramatic experiences with God. They have dramatic experiences of physical healing, of deliverance from things in their life that science could not heal them from, you know? And most scientists in this time, they just say, well, that's religion, we don't care about religion, we want facts. Well, I can tell you, I have been praying for many people in my life, and especially recently, we had a conference and I prayed for people for healing. And we had a lady, she had been suffering for excruciating pains for years upon years. And there was no healing for her. Science had no answer for her. Well, I came to her, I stretched out my hand. It was as if lightning struck her. I mean, I didn't know what was happening. She just crashed on the floor. I thought, oh my God, she's dead, you know. She just broke down. I thought, lightning struck her, you know. And afterwards, she grabbed me and she said, David, I have to tell you something. I've been healed. And she had something in her hands. And it were stickers with extremely strong painkillers that she had on her body. And she said that she had that she was 8 on the scale of pain, and she couldn't sleep. She had a whole long list of painkillers that she took to be able to sleep just a little bit. And you know, she said, David, I have no pain anymore. I have absolutely no pain anymore. And 2 weeks after that, I emailed her and I asked her, okay, are you still free of pain? Is this real? I mean, is this emotional? Is this psychological? Or is this something physical? Is this a reality? I mean, I know that the main question everybody has when people speak about, well, there's a miracle, there's a healing. Well, most people say, okay, is this something you fool yourself with? Is this something in your brain? Is this just something that you're thinking, you know? But she said, David, the first days after I went to the conference, I felt an extreme heat on my body and I started sweating. And she said, all the poison that was in my body that had been here for years and years and years. I mean, she took medicines. She took so much medicine, which is in fact poison. It's poison with a side effect that it helps you a little bit, you know. That's maybe strange to say, but it's true. Most medicine is poison and it just does a lot of bad stuff in your body. But she said, I've been sweating extremely and all the poison is just flooding out of my body. And she had a boyfriend and he didn't believe in God, you know. And she said, well, he wants to come to your meeting the next time because he sees how I've been healed. He sees that it's a reality and he said, I can no longer ignore it. So there are things happening in this world, many things that science cannot explain, but that are very real, you know. And that's why I say, scientists that say we only look at facts, well, the question is, are you true? Are you honest? Are you really looking at facts? Or are you literally closing your eyes for every fact that touches your mindset that there is no God, you know? Many scientists say we look at reality, we look at facts, but when you show them 100,000 and even millions of facts that just touch their preconceived mindsets, well, they just don't want to look at them. They say, well, yeah, we don't care about that, you know. There are thousands of scientists in this world that are struggling to maintain their jobs, that are struggling to maintain their influence and respect because they are just being persecuted by the main establishment who says, don't you dare talk about the Creator, don't you dare talk about the God, we'll just kick you out, you know. So science is in the core something that helps us see the majesty and the wisdom and the reality of God. Science in itself is something that helps us explore the mysteries of this world and it helps us find answers. It's amazing, it's incredible. But there are many people who claim to be scientists in this day. And what they say, well, we don't want to hear anything that goes against our, for example, theory of evolution. We don't want to hear anything that challenges our worldview. We don't want to hear it. So shut up, you know. And that's not science. That's not science. That's just, well, to be honest, that's just a religion. It's just closing your eyes and only believing what you want to believe. Just only presenting those facts that fit in your opinion. But that's not science, okay? So science like that is a big enemy of God in this world because it fools people. It tells people, well, guys, science has proven that there is no God. Science has proven evolution. Well, it's nonsense. It's just foolishness. It's just absurdity. But there is another huge enemy of God in this world. And that's an enemy that I want to focus a little bit on. And that's the enemy of, well, that's organized religion. I don't know anything in this world that has turned more people away from God than religion. I don't know anything in this world that has created more hatred against God than religion. I don't know anything in this world that has presented God more in a wrong way than religion. And I'm convinced that, you know, we all know there's good and evil, okay? That's, well, there is good, there is evil. So, and I really believe that there is something like darkness, there is something like evil, you know, that's just influencing people, trying to make people just sick in their mind, inspire them to just rape each other and abuse each other and murder other people. There is evil in this world. And I truly believe in my heart that the major strategy of evil in this world has been to create a false representation of God and to create an absurd, a sick, a silly, a damaging image of people who believe in God. And I'll explain this a little bit. You know, when I found God, when I experienced Him for the first time, I had experiences that I cannot, well, that just transformed me. I mean, psychologists try to help people. Psychiatrists try to help people. But I've not seen many people in my life who were healed by psychiatric treatment or by psychologists. They just prescribe medicines and say, okay, we'll just make you feel dull. We'll just put you down and that'll help you to survive in this world. But you know, I have been changed in such a radical way. My friends at school said, David, you have changed from a devil to an angel. And they said, well, how long will this last? It's just something he's doing, you know. But I changed very dramatically. And I know so many people that have changed from such, well, selfish people who only thought about themselves, who only thought about their pleasure, who only thought about their, well, what they could gain, you know. And they changed into people who know true love. I know a man who used to be the leader of a gang in Antwerp in Belgium. He was aggressive. He was a little muscular guy, you know, and he used to beat everybody up. I mean, he was strong. He was the leader. He was the big guy. And then he went to the army and he was in the special troops. And I mean, he was a guy that he wanted to be the boss. He controlled all the soldiers under him. And he was tough, he was strong, he was a guy, I mean, he knew how to bully other people in order to be the big one, you know. And now he's a missionary, he's one of the most tender-hearted people I know. He's a guy that is, well, he's laying down his life. He's laying down his life to show people that there is a God who loves them. And he's humble, he's tender, he's pure. He's a man I can trust. He's a man that I know he's transformed. He is literally transformed. And such things do not happen as the result of something you fool yourself with. A radical, dramatic transformation of somebody's heart does not happen by religion. Religion puts people down. Religion makes people like hypocrites. They act good when you see them, but they trick you when you don't see them. You know, like the many stories of the Roman Catholic Church where priests are abusing little boys. That's just a dramatic, a very bad example of this, you know. And I've seen many people. I've been in many types of churches. I've seen many hypocrites. I've seen a lot of people who say the right words, who have these beautiful clothes on, and they present themselves as the saints, but behind the screens they abuse people, they steal their money, they lie, and they're just selfish. They're just selfish. And they're just as unchanged as everybody else. Only they are wearing a mask. And Jesus Christ called them when he was walking this earth. He said, you guys are graves full of dead bones, but you are painted white on the outside. Your gravestone is white, but underneath it's just dead bones. It's stinking bad, you know. So, but I believe that the realm of darkness, that the realm of Satan has tried to fool people and say, well, don't you dare think about God because you don't want to be as boring as those guys. You don't want to be as weird as those guys, you know. So many people are afraid. Many people say, well, in their heart they are crying out for answers. In their heart they're crying out for something more in this life. In their heart they're crying out for, is there someone out there? Is there someone? But they don't dare go to church because they know, well, they know I don't find there what I really need. And of course there are many people, there are churches where people really love God, have changed the heart, are not selfish anymore. But there are many people who have been so fooled by religion. that they don't know where to find God, they just don't know it. So one thing I have discovered, and one thing I want to tell you, is that please don't compare God to religion. I know that many people who are watching this may think, well, I don't want to think about God because I see the church, I see religion, I see those people who are so weird, you know. And I'm not talking about any specific type of church. I believe that God is, I mean, look at Jesus. He was the one who, he talked with normal people. He went to those guys where the religious guys didn't want to talk to. So there is a huge, huge difference. And one of the things that I experienced in my life when I was just starting to encounter God is that, I mean, there was a love, you know, there was a love. It's inexpressible, it's inexplainable. It's something so real, you know. And again, I'm saying you can fool yourself big time. I used to fill the emptiness inside of me with drugs and with parties. Oops. And with girls, but it didn't work, you know. It's easy to fool yourself for a while, but at the end, reality catches up with you. Reality does catch up with you. So it's easy to fool yourself for a while, but in the end, you wake up and you see, well, I've been fooling myself. But when you encounter God, you wake up and you think, okay, can this be real? Is this love for real? Is this something that lasts? And my experience is that the more I walk with God, the more I just walk with Him, the more I'm amazed, the more I am shocked, the more He keeps showing me, David, you ain't seen nothing yet. I mean, He has brought so much healing in my heart, so much healing in my mind, so much healing in my life. And it's impossible to explain these things, but it's something that you have to experience it. And one thing I would like to say is this: when you truly say, God, are you real? When you truly say, God, are you there? When you say, is there someone higher than this world? Someone who does have the answer, someone who does care about people? Is there someone who does have a heart of compassion for people who just don't know where to go, who don't know, who don't have any answers, who are, well, who don't want to, well, how can I say that? For people who just say, help me, you know, just help me. People who are honest enough to say, I don't have all the answers. Scientists who are honest enough to say, well, I can explain you something about this and that, but I don't have the answers about the meaning of life, about why are we here, about who created your spirit. I can explain you how certain physical things function, but I can't explain how our spirit came into being. Why can people create such incredible music? Why can people act so amazingly? Why can people paint? Why are people so sensitive? Where does it all come from? Is it all indeed the result of absurd, blind evolution? You have to have an incredible faith to believe that. You have to have an incredible faith to believe that man, with all his intellect, with all his dreams, with all his passions, with all the supernatural going on in this world, that it's all the result of nothing. It has no meaning, it came from nothing. Well, I believe that you have to have an incredible faith to believe that. And I want to ask you, if you say, well, I am willing to encounter reality, if there is a God, if it's true that He can fill the void in my heart, that He can show me there is meaning to our existence, there is meaning to our being here. I mean, if you are honest enough to say that, then I'm just challenging you. Go on an adventure. Start asking the questions that maybe other people say, well, you don't have to ask those questions, you don't have to think about it, because no, just dare to ask the questions. Dare to ask for yourself the questions that are burning deep inside of you. And you know, it's very important that you go on this quest. You ask the questions and you don't, how can I say this? I'm not asking you to go to all kinds of religious places or something. No, I want to ask you, or how can I say this? I'm not challenging you to go to a church and become religious. I'm challenging you to go on a quest for truth, a quest for reality. I mean, I'll say something quickly about Jesus Christ. He didn't come to bring a religion. Many people think so. Many people say, well, he is an example, he's a leader, he brought the Christian faith. No, Jesus Christ did not come to bring a religion. Darkness made a religion out of it, so that people would not encounter Jesus Christ, so that people would run away from him. Because there's no life in religion, there's no joy in religion, there's no freedom in religion, there's only bondage, there's only mental bondage, you know. But the fact is, the truth is that Jesus Christ, he did not come to bring a religion. He said, I came to set captives free. He said, I came to give people the fullness of life. I came to set you free from the things that bind you. I came to set you free from the hurt that's binding you inside and it keeps oppressing you. You know, he came and he called himself the Son of Man. We all know that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, you know. He's not just a man, but he called himself the Son of Man. And with doing so, he said, I came to you. I came as the Son of Man. I did not come as the great prophet. I did not come as the great teacher. I came as the Son of Man. And that shows you something about Jesus Christ. Did not come to build a big church. He did not come to build huge cathedrals. He did not come to build huge organizations. No, he came to set people free. He came to, well, he simply said, if you know me, you'll be set free in such a way. Well, he actually said, he whom the Son has set free is free indeed. Well, that's a very interesting saying. He did not say, I come to put heavy yokes upon you. He did not say, I come to put a religion on you that just sucks all the joy and the life out of you. No, he said, those that have been set free by me, they will be free indeed. And that's a very interesting saying. And that's a thing that, well, that in itself is a discovery. What did he mean? What did Jesus Christ mean with that? And I want to invite you to start, well, just go on this quest and think about this. It's not about a church. It's about freedom. It's about healing in your heart. It's about, you know, that you know. I've been transformed in such a way that only my Maker can do. Dare to read things, dare to go on this adventure, and dare to be open for the greatest reality that there is. Well, I won't say on this earth because it's far more than on this earth. But dare to go on this adventure. Dare to go on this search for the reality that can fill the emptiness that every human being on this world has. And some fill it with you know, science, some fill it with sport, some fill it with career, some fill it with sex, well, people try to fill this gap and to silence the questions. People try to fill this emptiness with all sorts of things. But we have not been created to always fight to fill the void inside of us. We have been created to be so full inside that it spills over, that the life just flows out of us, that we are a well of joy and peace. You know, that's what we have been created for. And if you constantly fight, constantly run, constantly have to work to fill your emptiness inside with the internet, with Facebook, with video games, then you know you're missing the most important thing in your life. So open your heart and go on this search.